People starting to come in, and I am so honored today to have you here, Limor, right? Correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. Bergman Gross.
Bergman Gross.
Outstanding. I love it. I love that. And you are uh from a woman to a leader. Okay, we're talking about some serious transformation, okay? So we're going to have an excellent conversation today. Okay? I was just wanted to give people a few more minutes. Okay? Hi Joe, how are you today? And that way we have much more people in attendance, okay, for you today because we're talking about a very important topic, women in tech. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, because without tech, where we going to be? We're not going to be very far. That's for sure. Okay? We have to keep it real with ourselves, okay? And when we talk about the tech, we have to sow seeds of success, okay? And coming from a child, okay, to a woman and to a leader, okay? We all evolve through life, okay? And that's a part of our leadership journey and why we exist today, okay, to tell our stories, okay? Because if we look back in history, when our ancestors sat us around the fireplace telling us all of these stories, were giving us hope, okay? Giving us faith for a better day, okay? All of the women in history who we have embraced. Okay? So we need to tell our story. Our stories are too important not to tell. Okay? Because who's going to tell our kids and our grandkids these stories if we don't tell them? We want to be the one to tell them because we're going to tell them the truth. And the truth shall set us free. I don't care if you're Israeli, I don't care if you're American, if you're European, we all have the same concerns that we live in peace and harmony and raise our children to become the future leaders of our country. Okay? So we have to lead by example. Okay? And so whoever don't catch this message now will catch it on the replay. Okay? And that's the good thing about these podcasts, okay? Is that this is evergreen material. So if I drop dead right now, my story, our story lives on through the present and future generations. And this is the things that leaders like Golda Meir, okay, Martin Luther King, okay, JFK, Eleanor Roosevelt, Rosa Parks talked about in their daily journeys, including Harriet Tubman. We can think about a lot of great leaders throughout history. Okay? So, I want to be respectful of everybody's time today. Okay? Including my guests. So, I'm going to get this party started. Okay? So, I am Margaret Williams. I help women who have been marginalized elevate their voices, stop surviving power systems, and start leading with freedom, influence, and authority. Okay? Our ancestors paved the way for us. They gave us the blueprint in which we are supposed to follow. We just have to step up to the plate and be courageous. Okay? Things don't just happen. They don't just happen. So, my guest today, Limor Bergman Gross, is an accomplished executive leadership coach, international speaker, and former technology executive with over 20 years of experience building, leading, and scaling global engineering teams. Okay, she focuses on helping engineering managers, directors, and rising women leaders in technology shift from executing driven roles to position of strategic influence and executive presence. Okay, she is the publisher of From a Woman to a Leader. And so, Limor, I am very honored to have you here today. And I would like for you to talk about your leadership journey and what brought you to Substack.
Yeah. So first of all, hi, Margaret. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Thank you so much.
So my journey, in short, I grew up in a middle-class family, and I was very good girl. I did what I was told, got good grades. And then I realized, okay, what I want to do with my life. And I was very good at STEM. I was good at math. I studied math, physics, chemistry in high school. And I figured, okay, if that comes easy to me, what kind of profession can I choose? And I did a little bit programming in high school. And then after high school, I took a course at the Open University. It wasn't like today that everyone can just get all the information on, on the web. And I decided to go and study computer science. And went and started my career as a software engineer. As I grew in my career as a software engineer, something interesting happened. I was promoted to a staff engineer, and the staff engineer was a level that was equivalent to a manager. So it was a relatively senior role. And because I was so good girl, never talking, right, doing my work, no one asked me what I wanted. They just promoted me. And then I started asking myself questions. Limor, what do you actually want?
Okay.
Is this what you want?
Okay.
And then I realized, Margaret, that, well, I actually prefer to be a manager. I think it's more on the path that I'm looking for. And it took me several years since that point, Margaret, that I share with you that I was promoted to a staff. It took me about 3 years to get to a manager position. And that was also very kind of coincidental. Are you okay? It sounds like it's very hot where you're at.
Yeah, it's good. I'm good.
Okay. And so interesting story. I was already starting a family. I had a daughter. I was very miserable during that time of my career. Mm-hmm. And I thought about leaving, actually, the job. But the problem was that I wanted to expand my family. I wanted to bring another child. And I felt, how can I do those two? How can I look for a job and start expanding my family? I didn't think it was possible for me. And I chose family. And what happened was, when I was 8 months pregnant with my son, an opportunity opened up for a management position at the company I worked at. And with the encouragement of my husband, I wouldn't do it without him. I came with my, think about it, an 8-month pregnant lady walking in the corridors like that and saying, knocking on the door of the manager, saying, hi. He didn't know me very well. He knew who I was, but not really. Say, hi, I want to be a manager. And to be honest, if it was just me asking for that, probably I wouldn't get that opportunity. But what happened is that I had an ally in the company. I had a former manager who really believed in me and talked on my behalf when I was actually on maternity leave. So I went, I asked for it, and I thought, oh my God, I did a complete fool of myself. There's no chance I'm going to get that role. Who is going to take a pregnant lady who has never managed a team and give her that opportunity? But because of that person that spoke on my behalf, I think a lot of that is thanks to that person. I got that opportunity, and that's how I started my leadership journey. And since then, we moved to the US. I continued managing. I grew up in my career to a director of engineering. And upon returning back to Israel, I decided that I wanted to make a change in my career because throughout my career, I had a growing passion to supporting women in engineering and women in tech. And it started by mentoring, just at different platforms, mentoring women, supporting women that at a company I worked at, trying to hire more women, helping them grow. And at a certain point, I realized that if that's something I'm so passionate about, why not just make a living on? Why not just do it 100% of the time?
Yeah, right.
And that's what I decided to do. About 6 years ago, I had no idea what I was going to do exactly. I just had this idea of supporting women, and I left corporate. We came back here. It was a good timing just to, for some reason, for me, like when you make a big change in your life, another one, it's like, okay, it's not so scary. So I started
Yeah.
coaching. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I started coaching, and at a certain point, I realized that I want to speak on stages, although I'm very, by the way, introverted and quiet. So I started doing that as well. So today I coach. I also do speaking engagements. And my mission is to help more women rise to the top, whatever the top is for them.
So, how have you seen women's position shift in the STEM industry? Because we're talking about impacts of a lot of different industries. Okay, so what are you seeing? How you seeing things shifting right
I
now?
don't know if
I
I
mean, you
don't know if
started.
they're shifting. I'll be honest with you. I still think that we are underrepresented as women. I mean, at least when I go to tech conferences, I don't see a lot of women there.
Okay.
So I'm asking, are we even shifting? Are things shifting? Maybe it's actually getting worse to some extent. At least, from what I see, I don't see a lot of women. When I go to conferences, I don't see a lot of women in executive roles. I don't see a lot of women founders.
As we know, that's a problem for the younger women that are following behind us. What role models do they have? What mentors? What like for example, when I worked for the government for 39 years, they had a leadership development program where you could shadow a specific leader, okay? And you could shadow them for the day. You could ask them different questions. But if you don't have these positive role models in your life, how do you know how to navigate through these difficult times?
So, this is a wonderful question, Margaret. And my answer would be find communities. And there are a lot of, nowadays, actually, there are a lot of communities. A lot of them are online communities for women. And depending on the area, like I'm part of communities for women in tech or women, and I mentor also. So find a community that is relevant to you. It could be regional, it could be just completely virtual, could be women in engineering, women in finance, whatever that may be. Find online communities. So that's the first thing, because those communities, you can connect with like-minded women where you can feel safe to talk about the challenges that you face, to ask for advice without being afraid of being judged or punished. And there you can also find support, because a lot of those communities also offered mentorship for women, or you can hire help. Sometimes your company will provide you that support, sometimes it won't. But you can get help even if your company doesn't support you.
There are also sponsorships out there that people are not aware of, and that maybe only a select few find out about. Fortunately, maybe it's because you know somebody well, my mom, she's a part of this organization, and this organization is giving out sponsorships. They may be giving out maybe 3 or 5 for the select few. You might have to participate in some type of challenge or whatever to see if, to qualify. So it's good to find out about these things too. So it's all about who you know as well and who knows you.
Absolutely. And I think who you know and who knows you is true both inside a company and outside a company. And for many years, as I said, Margaret, because I was a good girl, not many people knew me. So you have to really build those relationships intentionally, especially nowadays that we work hybrid and remote. Build relationships inside the companies and also find opportunities to build relationship outside the company. You can do that by, as I said, communities, different webinars. It could be going to meetups and conferences. Like every time I go to a conference, so I speak at conferences, every time I go, I meet a lot of people. That's a great place to connect.
Also, trade shows as well. Network events. You have the DNI out there. I'm not sure about um, what it's about, or what of. There's probably potential with everything, but you have to figure out where you are best serving your time. Okay.
I think we have a question here from Savio.
Okay. Okay.
And Savio asks, as a male, how can I champion this woman-led movement?
You're probably doing that already every day when you're supporting your sisters, when you're supporting your mother, when you're supporting all the women in the community, the women that you work with. But if you want to take it to a higher level, then we have to look at, okay, who are we voting for at the ballot box? How can we get more involved in knowing which candidates are out there? Because when I get a ballot, I don't know these individuals from Adam. Okay? So I can make more informed decisions. How can we make more informed decisions? Okay? Because all the decisions we make today is going to impact us tomorrow and in the future. And as well as our offspring and the people that we have to take care of. Okay, so every action that we make, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so we need to be mindful of that and intentional on what we are signing up for.
Yeah, I can share, Margaret, what I did, and maybe that will help you, Savio. So first of all, I mean, if it's in the corporate environment, like looking at hiring, like how many women do you have, and how much effort are you putting into finding women? And in my field, I manage technical people. It was not easy to find women. And a lot of times the recruiters told me, oh, there are no women in the pipeline. And I said, how can that be? And I pushed them really hard. Actually, you know what I was doing? I was looking myself for viable candidates on LinkedIn. And I remember at one point I sat with a recruiter and I said, come to my computer for a second. I want to show you something. And I showed him like how I do a search and how I see women. Like, why don't you just be proactive and reach out to those women? So it's a lot about awareness and putting the extra effort. And this is just hiring. Now, if you have women inside your company, how do you make sure that they're successful? How do you make sure that they feel comfortable? How do they make sure that they're supported? And I'm not saying that women are always undertreated or, not fairly, but a lot of times because we tend to be quieter or maybe we don't push ourselves enough, we're not given opportunities that other men maybe are getting. So identifying women in your company that maybe are doing a great job, but don't get the visibility that they deserve and the opportunities they deserve, and speaking for them, sponsoring them, speaking for their behalf, becoming their ally, like this man was for me. when I was nominating myself for a manager position, helping women inside your organization. How can you help them?
Now, the questions that you were asking, these things should be already defined in the mission, the purpose, the vision. Okay, with a shared interest and a shared interest and shared anyway. You know what I'm saying. And if you don't have that in place, then the first place I would start there. Okay, as a interviewee. Okay, I want to come in and have an understanding of what the culture is. If I get a sense that it's against my values, then I would choose to walk out the door because I know that the results for my good is not going to be there. People that look like me are few in between, and that siren is loud. Okay, that it's not going to end well for me. And I knew that at my last job, but I was just trying to hold on long enough to get to my retirement. Okay, because I'm like, what the worst they can do? I done made it 39 years, but it was enough for me to walk away. Okay,
Yeah.
so so it was not designed for somebody like me. It was set up for a person like me to fail. And knowing that going in, I just took a chance anyway. I just took a chance anyway.
Good for you,
And
Margaret.
yeah, and so it is what it is. Then we have to always figure out how we're going to pivot. Okay, because the person I was back then, I am no longer. Okay, and just like you are no longer that person either. You have evolved.
Yes. And you know something, I want to say something about like women and also women of color, if I may.
Yes, please.
So I actually realized along my career. So when I was heavily involved in women ERG. Do you know what is an I don't know if our audience know what is an ERG. It's called Employee Resource Group. A lot of companies have employee resource groups. It could be people of color, it could be women, LGBTQ, whatever. And those groups usually have an executive sponsor and sometimes some budget, so they can organize different activities. And I was heavily involved in the women ERG in the company. And we have an executive sponsor. She was the chief people officer. And during those discussions, I was amazed of how privileged I am as a white woman because I heard the stories of Black women, how they are mistreated, and there's so much bias just because of their color. So I wish the message that I want to give here, I guess, is that when you see someone that may be mistreated or there may be some bias, maybe even you have bias towards them, try to really take a careful look at that person and see how can you help them and how can you, as much as possible, look at them without judgment and put your own thoughts and opinions aside. And this is not easy to do because we all have different biases of people. We see someone and within seconds we decide about them. And a lot of
You
times that, yeah, go
please go ahead.
ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, and a lot of times that initial kind of first interaction can really determine if that person is successful or not.
Well, I'm gonna say I agree with you. You know, and being an African American female, okay, that has experienced bias, racial, and gender discrimination, with a lot of others. Yeah, and it makes you feel a certain way about yourself. It makes you want to try to conform. To try to conform is to dim your light, okay? And thinking that that is going to help, but it does not. So speak your truth instead. You're going to be ostracized and you're going to be persecuted regardless. So if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with a bang. I'm not going to go out uh, down here and forgotten, because people, when you die, people are going to talk about you anyway. They talked about Jesus Christ. And I always tell myself that when I get down on myself about something, I'm like, you know what? They talked about Jesus Christ. So who am I? Who am I? So get over yourself and get you back out there and do what you need to do. Okay? That's what I have to tell myself. Suck it up and get back out there. Okay? When you playing a game, okay, it's like the water boy. If you playing basketball, baseball, football, the coach gonna say, get over yourself. I don't care what you screwed up. Get back out there. We gotta win this game. Okay? That's what it's all about. Put your ego and put all the other stuff aside. And that's where we at today. Okay? And that's what we have to do. We have to grab ourselves from the grips of despair, get off the ground, get off the pity pot, because nobody's going to come to save you, and do the work. And that's how we win. That's how we win. I don't care how many naysayers out there. I don't care how many haters out there. Get up and let's do the work.
Yeah, I'm into that. But I will say, Margaret, that not everyone is so strong as you are. And a lot of times...
It's not just me. Because if you had given up, where would you be today?
Completely agree with you. And that's why we need people like Savio to support us, to help us. And another thing is like that I wanted to also to mention is about being different. So what happens is, and I notice this in companies, not just related to gender. A lot of times, so people hire people they used to work with, right? I'm sure that you've seen that. People hire people they know, they used to work with, and they get along with. And there's nothing bad about that. But a lot of time, the downside is that it creates this kind of close-knit group. That people that know each other, and I faced it at least once in one company I worked at. A lot of people came from the same company, and they were like thinking the same, operating the same. They have this, mentality, and everyone else was left out. But actually, looking at it on a completely different way, it's a good thing to be different. It's a good thing to think differently. It's a good thing sometimes, to have heated discussions.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Before I forget, let me interject here. And this, what you're talking about is called nepotism. It's called favoritism, okay? And it's called groupthink and keeping the status quo. So that's how you do that. You hire people like yourself that you can control and you can manipulate. When you tell them to jump, they'll say how high. If you tell them this is this decision you need to make with this, then they'll do it. And you working in a system, a silo system like this, there is no way for an individual like me. Perhaps you have better chances of winning in a system like that than I do. I won't stand a chance in this type of system.
Yeah, probably I would have better chances, but also for me it wasn't easy, and I always try to show that being different is an advantage.
It is.
It's an advantage because when you have different people from different backgrounds who think differently, it just brings a lot of goodness to the company.
It does. And it also increases productivity, and it also increases exponential growth. Okay. And it's increased innovation. Okay. And what we were talking about is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which has been excluded. You cannot exclude it if you still have marginalized leaders working in these organizations. How can you get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion? That's called hypocrisy.
Yeah, so I guess my message here is also do not be afraid of arguments, of having discussions of people who disagree with you or think differently. Because a lot of times it feels uncomfortable. And people say, "Oh, this person don't know what they're talking about. I know I know what we should be doing." So open up your minds and try to listen and to hear different perspectives. You may learn something.
Right? And if you're not willing to do that, then you need to be somewhere else. Okay? This is not a place for you. Okay? Because we're about evolving, we're about awakening. Okay? We're about ascending. Okay? We're about truth. And if you're not about any of these things, then you are in the wrong place. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spent 11 years in Israel, okay? 6 years I spent in I lived in Beersheba, okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and 5 years I lived in Herzliya. So I understand Israel and the Israeli people very well. And in many ways we have a lot of similarities. We have similarities and differences, but I respect your customs and and um and your courage, okay? And the things that I faced in my life is no comparison to, running from mortars, but I did it when I was in Israel, and I it just brought a whole new meaning to life for me, okay? And so as far as I'm concerned, you're my sister, okay? And I truly
Yeah.
mean, okay?
Thank you for saying that. And my experience, is that when I lived in the US, there's so many people from so many countries, from so many backgrounds. And there is no one type of person. I worked with people from different backgrounds. And I see that as a great thing. It's incredible because you learn about people, about the cultures. I'm fascinated by that. And I wish that everyone will look at that with curiosity, with opening their heart and minds, regardless gender, men or women, just everyone, no matter where you come from. It doesn't matter.
I really thank God for Pod Match, because if it hadn't have been for Pod Match, I wouldn't have met you, even though you're already on Substack.
Yeah. Yeah. And you asked me about Substack. So I'll just quickly share that during my work, I told you I left corporate because I had a passion for supporting women. And another passion that grew in me was really to share to the world things that I'm doing, and share my wisdom and help others also through, different avenues. So I started my podcast, From a Woman to a Leader, where I interview women around the world. And I started a Substack publication because Substack is such a great platform for people to connect.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
And I
And
want
that
to
is,
encourage all of the people here, if they are not writing on Substack, yeah, share your wisdom with the world.
and that's also how I met Savio, is through
Ah,
Pod Match, okay? And we are now
fantastic.
connected, and also through LinkedIn. So that's how we make connections. We can't just look in one place. Multitude of places to make connections. I've made internet connections internationally, and I'm still doing that. So everything that we bring to Substack, we utilize. It's a resource, internal or external. Utilize the gifts, the skills, and expertise that we have at our disposal.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so looking at your expertise is just so expansive. Engineering leadership, director of engineering at Digital Ocean. Okay, talk about your global experience and global growth. Okay, your executive coaching and advocacy. Okay, you also have your PCC. Okay, you are a global mentor. So um what advice do you have for people like me and everyone else here?
I want to share something. I just had a conversation with a woman before I joined this live. And she mentioned to me like, so it's a client, and she mentioned to me like challenges with her manager. And long story short, her manager eventually gave her feedback that is, in other words, be like me. A lot of managers like that. Oh, you should be more assertive. You should be more this and this. And usually what they say is eventually, you should be a manager like I am. And I told her, you should be you. You should utilize your strength, be you, and let's work on convincing your manager that you being you is the greatest thing for the company. You don't need to be like someone else. And this is the message I want to give everyone here. Every one of you is unique. Every one of you is different. Don't try to be someone you're not. Don't compare yourself all the time to others. Say, oh, this person is better than me. This person is better than me. Think about what are your qualities? What are the things that you are bringing to the world? And how can you make your impact? By staying true to yourself and being yourself and not trying to be someone else.
I can't tell you how many copycats out there, and it's just like, baby, the time you spending trying to be somebody else, you losing yourself in the process. Do you, be you. Can't nobody do you better than you. And that's what people fail to realize. And I did too for a while, and sat in this emptiness, you know, while time is passing me by.
Yeah, and Savio is writing here, how can you make your impact not trying to be someone else? Yeah, and I learned it the hard way because I said I'm introverted, I'm quiet. And when I started managing, I got a lot of feedback. Oh, you need to be more assertive with people. You need to be harder with them. And I tried that for a little bit, but it didn't work because I wasn't true to myself. And my style is different. Yes, I need to be assertive, but I want to do it my own way. Being
And
also empathetic.
Absolutely. And once people realize, when the mask come off and they say this person is not authentic, that's not who they said they were, people gonna flee. That's trust. If you want trust, to establish trust, you have to be authentic. You have to be genuine. You have to be truthful. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be committed, loyal to people in order for people to be loyal to you.
Absolutely. And I want to say also, comparison is the enemy of growth. So stop comparing yourself. We do it all the time, whether we want it or not. But when you catch yourself comparing yourself to someone else and beating yourself up in your head, stop. Stop comparing yourself to others.
We all do it. I even get down on myself and I'm like, look at them over there. They're killing it. They're killing it over there. What's wrong with me? Am I chopped liver? They don't show me no love over here. It's like, you know what? Get over yourself, Margaret. Keep moving. Move on. Next.
And they probably look at you and say the same.
Oh, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? We just need to say, suck it up, buttercup. Next. Where's the next article? Where's the next whatever? Okay? That's it. We got to keep it moving. Most times, we be our own worst enemy, and we don't even realize the enemy within. Enemy within is, in a critic, self-sabotage. Okay? Do I need to go on? Procrastination. Okay, then we use these as an excuse. Oh, it's me. No. Okay. You got to keep it real with yourself. If we used to have a saying, you can run, but you can't hide. You can't hide from yourself. You can run, but you can't hide from yourself. Okay.
Definitely. And you take yourself everywhere. A lot of times
Listen.
people leave jobs, they think, oh, and sometimes it is a problem with the environment, but they leave jobs and they think, oh, in the next company it will be better, but they take themselves. So we always take ourselves everywhere we go. So
And
it
then you wonder
goes,
why. Then you wonder why shit go to hell. It's because of you. You created the monster. Okay. You go into a new place that maybe most times they don't know about you, but sometimes they do because, like when I was working for the government, we know, oh, it's a new supervisor coming in. Like, okay, I'm gonna find out about them. I'm gonna go look on their social media. I'm gonna talk to some people I know. I'm trying to get the 411 about this person. You know, people tell you things, but they don't necessarily mean it's gonna be the truth. Okay, you still gonna have to meet this person and figure out how you're gonna be able to work with them if you can, and try to figure out. I just pray that I can work with this person because we've seen that movie, Horrible Bosses.
yeah,
Okay, and I'm like, oh my god. I said, who gonna leave first, her or me? I said, me. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait her out. I'm gonna leave first. Forget that. Okay. So we have to be very mindful of all of these things, okay? For real. Because you can have one horrible boss that can make your life a living hell, and you live through it the rest of your life. You keep seeing it over, replaying it over and over and over. It's like, oh my God, I hope I never can be that kind of person. Because I can be short patient, sometimes, because if I have to tell you something more than one time, then I have to revalue this relationship. Okay, really. Because I don't have that kind of time or patience to have to tell you two and three times the same thing over and over again. So I have to take a step back and look at these situations. What happened if that was me? How would I want to be treated? And that's the way we have to come across when we have employees. That's why I knew I was not really supervising material. It was pushed on me. It's like, Margaret, you're gonna do this. I like, yes, sir, I'll do it. But you asking me to supervise people? Do you know how problematic it is to supervise people? They come in there with an attitude and like, I ain't doing nothing today. If you want it done, do it yourself. And you got to deal with that. And then the boss tell you, where's the report at that's due at 5 o'clock? He don't want no excuses. He want the report. He don't care who does it. So guess who does it? Me. Because I don't want to deal with them idiots over there because they got a problem because he put me in charge. Well, you talk to him about it. I didn't ask for the job. He ain't paying me no extra money. So I'm glad I'm retired. I'll still say that. Okay? Because people can be
yeah.
too
Managing people
much.
is not easy and it's not for everyone. And I'm sorry that was your experience. I mean, I also had a case where someone didn't like the fact that I was appointed to be their manager. He actually thought he should be the one. And I had to deal with it. Sometimes you had to, so when you work in corporate, sometimes you have to deal with stuff like that. It's not always nice. But what I told to myself, which helped me, is that, okay, that person thinks they deserve something. Well, tough. I'm here and I'm just going to do the best work I can and treat them with respect, with dignity, and try to help them as much as possible. And that's it. That's what I can control. I cannot control how people behave.
I know, but that's the one that's stabbing you in the back every time you turn around and questioning every move you make to upper management to try to show why they should have been chosen instead of you. I'm just using that as an example of what
Yeah.
women we have had to go through, and that's the reason why we have never been able to break through the glass ceiling, because you give a woman a little bit of power and then she gonna take over. That's what they gonna say. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're saying. So that's why they have to keep us down, because they fearful that we'll do the job better than they will, that they're doing it. And we will, because we see all the mistakes that they're making. what they do instead? Oh, well, they'll keep you down by, giving you bad performance ratings and making it impossible for you to even apply for a promotion. Or they'll tell the prospective employee, I don't think you want to hire that person. You know what I'm saying? They keep you down in so many different ways. Okay, keep you from moving up. So the only way up for many of us is out and to become entrepreneurs.
Sometimes it's that way. I haven't experienced exactly what you described, but I know it happens, and yeah, and sometimes you have to leave. Sometimes there's the only way. If you're
Yeah.
in an environment that is toxic, that is not supporting you, and people stab you in the back, as you said, like that's not an environment you want to stick around.
No, because you can never win.
Yeah.
You go always end up with the worst end of the stick. He said, man in the mirror. Yeah, well, when people are in power, they don't think about that, okay? They just think of ways that they can stay in power. You look at our systems, okay? And that's the way it is. How do you stay in power and control? Through manipulation, okay? It is what it is. It's okay as long as it's for our benefit, but most times it's not, okay? People's ego get in the way, unfortunately. And that's why I always ask myself, when I'm making certain decisions, am I doing this for my good or am I doing this for the collective good? We always have to ask ourselves that.
Yeah. And I think I'm generalizing here, but I think women usually act more for the greater good than for their own good or for their ego. I'm not saying that all men only are driven by their ego, but I think in general, men are more ego driven. And excuse me for the men here if I hurt any of you, but that's what I've seen.
Joe said, Xavier, women don't need a personal hand up. We need a misogynic roadblock removed so we're with the guys don't tolerate that culture. We then find our own. Then we find our own. Um. Okay, so
So seems like Savio agree with what I said that men are more ego driven.
when we look at society, and we look at history, I would have to agree. Really, I would.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So how do you remedy that? I don't know how we remedy it. What we do is put more women in power. That's the only way I see it happening. Okay? If we ran the family, okay, and raised all the children, why can't we run these organizations?
We can
Many
absolutely.
instances we are already like yourself, directors and founders and you know, so other than ego preventing us from gaining more positions of power.
Yeah, I think we need also more supporters. We need more allies.
How
And
do
you,
how do how do we gain more subscribers? I mean supporters. Because it's saying it is one thing, but getting it done is another. I
I
think
think
with
it's about being intentional about it and building relationships with people who can support us. That's what worked for me, at least. Because
okay.
one person in the room you're not at speaking on your behalf, and usually if it's a white man, is way more impactful than 10 meetings you will be speaking for yourself. So you need to understand like who are the important people that you should build relationship with. And usually the way to build relationship with them is to be curious about them, what they care about, how you can be of service, how you can support them. And usually when they do that, they will want to help you too.
And that's what I've been all about. See, most people, a lot of people, they're all about what's in it for me. What can you do for me? And when you come to me with that attitude, you won't get nothing from me. Period. You can say, you can just walk out the door that you came in. Okay? I have nothing for you.
Yeah.
And that's how you can tell whether a person for you or not. If they come in with their hands out, baby, Focus Hope or whatever's down the street. Okay, I am not the Salvation Army. I'm not Mother Teresa, and I'm not trying to be Mother Teresa. Okay? How can we build something together? Now, if we can't talk about that, then we have no conversation. That's where I'm at today. And we need to have these tough conversations, and we need to be selfish, and we need to have boundaries. Okay?
Yeah.
Because when I look at Golda Meir, when I drove down that street, beautiful street, and I thought about her, what are all the positive attributes that she possessed that you even incorporated in your own leadership? She was she was a serious leader. And even like Margaret Thatcher, a lot of people didn't like her, but she was powerful too. You know,
Yeah.
when you think about these powerful women, what are some of the attributes that we can instill in ourselves?
I think strong women, I think the problem is that strong women are, it kind of plays against them. So they're seen aggressive, hostile. But if a man is aggressive, they are not judged for that.
You know what? I agree with you. And I even, when I was in Israel, I also traveled to Jordan and Egypt, and you see all the strong women that were there. You know, like Cleopatra, how she reigned. You know, and her name starts with a H. I can't pronounce her name. All these powerful women that reigned. You know, and so it's nothing preventing any of us from doing the same things. We just have to believe that we can.
That's true.
So you demonstrate what is possible. Um, Institutional racism and misogyny are so bad that we do need white man and women heroes. I'm trying to figure out how we can all work together, including white men. But do white men want to work with us? Is the question.
I think some do.
Okay?
Some definitely
Because
do.
sometimes I feel that they don't, because they feel that women we are too strong, and that we are rising up, and that we're trying to forget them, and we're trying to push them aside. That's what I'm feeling. I'm just telling you what I'm feeling. And we're not against white men, or any man for that matter. And that's when, and see, that's why I like Savio's thing. How can we help? Okay? This is not about banishing men or
Of
beating
course
them up.
not.
Okay? So, uh, but yet and still, we are equal partners, and we should have a place at the table. We deserve that. We don't just raise your children, have and raise your children and cook your meals and wash your clothes. Okay? We're more than that. And we're showing that. And if people can't accept that and want to have us as equal partners, bye. That's where I'm at today.
So I think we need to
I'm
find the
sorry.
ones who are. So we cannot
Where are
say
they?
where are they. I had men, white men that supported me in my career, so they're obviously out there.
Yes, yes. They may be far and few between, but they're out there, right?
They're
So
out
we just
there,
have
yeah.
to, yeah, yeah. So, any advice?
I think it's about connecting with the men in the organization, and yeah, seems like Michelle says it also rare. For me, it was like connecting with them, talking with them, and seeing who is really someone I can rely on, and who is not.
In a world where politics is involved with everything. Okay, I have subscribers unsubscribing, and I'm like, whatever. They're ignorant because you can't live in a world without politics. Politics affect every part of our lives, every part, whether we like it or not. So I'd rather be informed and then making decisions in the blind. Okay, because then we're shooting ourselves in the foot because these people, the 1%, they got their money, they got everything all squared away. We're the ones that's still trying to figure it out. Okay, so
Yeah.
I just hope the conversation wasn't making you uncomfortable, but
No, of course not.
it is what it is. Because if we don't face facts, how are we going to change our circumstances?
Yeah, I think we need to talk about those things. It's important, and giving platforms like that one, Margaret, is important, so we can actually talk about those things. And finding the men who will support us.
Okay.
Because we cannot do it without them.
No, we cannot. And we know that. Wouldn't want to do that. We're trying to come together. We're not trying to uh, continue fighting among ourselves because we cannot win fighting among us, continuing to fight among ourselves. And we know that. So that's where we are today. We have the internet. We have these resources. We can find these organizations. I found these women organizations on Substack, and talking to them, having these conversations is like, how can we use our platforms to elevate each other? Okay, having you come on, we have these conversations. People learn more about you, what you're doing. Okay, and we can keep elevating each other and having conversations that way.
For
Okay,
sure.
sometimes we can maybe support the organizations, monetarily, because like the the feminist, okay, I can't get her name right, Zulfina, she has a uh, her readership supports her. Okay, they fund it themselves. They're not looking for outside money, and actually, that's better. That way, you keep control. Then you don't have anybody dictating to you what you can and cannot do. Because when you take money from these outside groups, they control you. They tell you what you can say, when you can say it, and how to say it.
Definitely.
I I think that's where we start, and we put the money that we're making back into the communities and uplifting the youth, with these sponsorships, mentorships, and advocacy. And that's how we help the future generation to overcome all these obstacles, okay? And help them to succeed because we're mentors and coaches, and that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have to continue having these conversations, Limor, how we can support each other. Okay, right? That's
Yeah.
how we win. That's how we win, and bring the men along as well. As Savio knows, this is not about man bashing. This is about collective evolution. Okay. So, you have any final words? Um, Suggestions?
So I think few suggestions. Find communities first of all. I mean, I think this is very important. You mentioned Substack, and there are other communities. Find communities and connect with others so you're not feeling alone. I also recommend everyone listening in, you have a voice, use it. It's so easy today. Substack, it's free. You can just start a publication, start a podcast like this one, and support others. Give back, whether it's money, whether it's like volunteering, mentoring, support others, lift them.
That's how we give back every day.
Yeah.
We're doing it and we don't even realize it. Any comments or questions for Lior or myself? We're going to continue on this path regardless of who's with us or not, because I'm going to stay on the path. And so whoever with us, let's go. We're going places, okay? We're going places. And I want to thank you so much, Lior, for I didn't even realize that we were already connected when I got your when I said let's go on Podmatch. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Margaret, for bringing me in, and really enjoyed the conversation. And I want to thank everyone who participated.
Thank you so much. And we have to keep in touch. And I'll talk to you soon, Savio. And thank you all for coming, and thank you for your time. And you all enjoy the rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.